Hey guys, Fenno here and welcome to my part of Redstone 101. In this video I will be covering buds and bugs. So what exactly is a bud? Bud stands for Block Update Detector and the name is pretty self-explanatory. A piston, or hopper or dropper, but we'll get into those later, has three states: powered, unpowered and budded. When a piston is budded, it is actually somewhere in between the other two states, and it's kind of undecisive as to what it should be. You can achieve this effect by powering a piston, or hopper or dropper, diagonally, power it 2 blocks above it, redirect its power source, or try and extend it where it cannot. I think we've chatted on for long enough now. Let's get into this whole budding situation, shall we? Method number 1 to bud a piston is diagonally powering it, or also known as quasi-connectivity. And that is when you diagonally power a piston, it thinks it's powered, but it's not. So you have to kind of remind him that he is powered, and we do that by updating it with the block. So as you can see, this block right here is powered, and the piston shouldn't actually be powered, but it thinks it is. So when we give it an update, it extends, and now it is powered like this. So updating it won't do anything. And then if we unpower the lamp, or the block right there, it is still extended. And then if we update any part of the bud, so even the piston arm, it retracts again. Now this one is quite interesting as well. If you just try and extend this piston, it works just fine. But if we extend this one first and then try and extend it, it can't push it, because extended pistons cannot be pushed by other pistons. And then if we retract this one, something weird happens. Well, it might seem weird at first, but it's actually really logical if you look into it a bit. So it couldn't, or this piston couldn't push because the piston arm was here and that can't be moved. And then that piston arm suddenly went away. So, but it didn't update this block. So you have to remind the piston that it can push again. And we do that by updating it with the block. And that is how you achieve that effect. Alright, so method number 3 isn't very much different from method number 1. Actually, it works on pretty much the same principle. So that is when you power the block. In this case, it's 2 blocks above. So as you can see, we have an air block right there. And we update the piston, then it extends. When we unpower it and update it again, doesn't matter if we either break or place a block. We can even update the piston arm to update it, and it retracts again. The fourth and final one is probably the weirdest one that I know of. It just seems weird to me that when placing a detect rail or anything else next to there and then removing it, it doesn't update the pistons. Right, so a bit more in depth instead of just really shallow right there. But yeah, as you can see, the redstone isn't pointing in this piston right now, so it shouldn't be powered. And if we update it, it suddenly retracts because it realizes it shouldn't be powered. And then when we remove the detect rail, it should be powered, but it doesn't realize until we give it an update, and then it does again. So let's get into the dispensers and droppers, shall we? So only number 1, 3 and 4 work with dispensers and droppers, and they work on the exact same concept. So when you diagonally power one, update it, it activates, and unpower it and update it. You have to update it again in able to reuse it. Because if we just continually keep updating this, it won't do anything because it's already powered. Same goes for number 3. And of course also number 4. I think I've just about covered everything that has to do with bud switches. Now if you do have any questions, problems, do hit me up in the comments. I read every single one of those and I try to respond to every single one. So yeah, let's get into the next part of the video, which is redstone bugs. There are a whole lot of bugs in Minecraft, and a lot of those do originate from redstone. So I just want to get one thing clear. I'm not going to feature all of the bugs. I'm just going to feature a couple. A lot of bugs are relying on snapshots and vary from version to version. These are the ones that have stuck around for a while and have been known to annoy people quite a lot. So here's quite a peculiar little bug. Now, as you can see, this comparator is being powered, but it shouldn't be. So the moment we update it, it turns off. But why does it do that? Because when we just extend this sticky piston right here with a cauldron on top with some water inside, it turns on just like normal, just as one would expect, because a comparator can take an output from a filled cauldron and also behind a block. That's just how comparators work. But then when we remove it, the comparator stays on and somehow it doesn't update. So there's a bug, something that has infuriated quite a lot of redstoners over time, that I know of anyway. So yeah, be wary of that. Another really nasty bug is directional pistons. So as you can see here, we have two of the same setups, but one is flipped 90 degrees. So we have one facing the south and one facing west. And let's see what happens. Yeah, only the one facing west works. So as we would expect, this redstone dust turns on, the piston extends, but before that the redstone dust actually powers this block and powers this piston for long enough to spit this block out. And the same should happen on this side, right? Nope, because it's facing south or north. Yeah, weird stuff. Alright, so let me show you a little slow motion shot right here of what is happening, and then we'll move on to the next bug. So the next so-called bug isn't one specific bug or feature in the game, but it is in fact a whole different platform. On some redstone videos you may have seen or heard the term bucket proof. But why is that so special? Bucket is still Minecraft, right? Well, yes and no. Bucket has the tendency to sometimes skip a game tick, or half a redstone tick, randomly. On top of this, pistons and torches act extremely strange in a server environment, and Bucket doesn't help, which makes redstoning on Bucket servers very difficult and unreliable. Avoid if at all possible. I think I've just about covered everything I wanted to cover, so if you have any questions, again, hit me up in the comments. Otherwise, here is a link to go back to the Redstone 101, and you can click on faces of the people who made this all possible right now. Anyway, that's basically it. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.